Chris Messon on Worldsoul Saga. His voice acting is
I'm Scott
insane.
Johnson, the host of the World of Warcraft podcast, The Instance, and today I'm sitting here with Chris Metzen. Chris.
Scott, it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's a crazy time. We're about to launch the War
Fuck,
Within.
dude. The first thing is like, fuck, Chris Messon's hair's gone, man.
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's a crazy time. We're
He
about
looks
to
great
launch the
still,
War
by the way.
Within
He looks
and
amazing.
Really kick off this massive Worldsoul saga, which is a trip because I
Louder?
haven't shipped a video game in 8 or 9 years. So it's kind of wild going through this process again and just kind of feeling that anticipation, excited to see what people think, and when the product finally gets into people's hands, it's one of my favorite parts of the whole development process.
Well, let me ask you this question, because you reminded me of how long this has been going. I remember firing up the World of Warcraft OG vanilla World of Warcraft and seeing a trailer that said, celebrating 10 years of Warcraft. And I remember then thinking, you gotta be kidding me, that's insane. That's how long I've been playing these games. And now we're 20 years on top of that, 30 years total.
Dude.
That has to be a little overwhelming.
I don't want to hear
given
that.
You were here for most of that, had a bit of a break, now you're back. Does that weigh on you? Do you feel the heat from the time? Like, how do you feel about how that entire process has gone?
I'll answer for him. Thank God they brought me back when they shat themselves. Now I'm gonna pick up everything and clean their mess and be the face of World of Warcraft again and try to carry the game. Focus on the chat, of course.
Kind of heat or like the weight of time, relative to expectation. It's really weird, being a little older, a little wiser. Feels like 100 years ago, feels like 5 minutes ago, all at the same time. So when I look at this Worldsoul saga, the stuff we're building right now, thankfully there's an immediacy of it all to me. It's just, we live and die by, how good, the things we're sculpting in real time is. Trying to hold it all in your head, the weight of the past, it's kind of beyond me. I can't really wrap my head around like all the history all at once. I mean, there's kids graduating college right now named Jaina and Anduin. It's like, what? I often find it's not all that helpful to overdwell on, in the course of development. You want to keep it focused on what you're doing at the time. So that's how I try and balance it out. One day I'm sure I'll look back and go, wow. Working on this game again has really given me more of an immediate sense of gratification that just kind of keeps you focused in the moment. And that's generally, where my head is at on a day-to-day basis.
When you mentioned people naming their kids after characters that you created, that you named, and that you developed and saw grow and evolve and everything. Something that's interesting about War Within so far, to me, is we're seeing the gang kind of back together in a much more complete way. So you're seeing Anduin talking to Thrall with Jaina nearby, and Khadgar, my favorite worst wizard of all time, but I love him. He's there. They're all there.
What? The worst wizard of all time?
What that tells me is that we're in for some coming together of a lot of strings, a lot of stuff that has been out there for 20 years that will finally converge in some meaningful ways. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
I'll break it down. When I came back, I'm like, all right, let's go. World of Warcraft. Like, what do we got? What are we making? And they were in, they had already been doing War Within, or what would become, War Within, for about 10 months. While I liked what they were building and thought it was a cool next chapter in WoW, in my head, I'm like, for the 20th anniversary of WoW, like, I want to have a feeling, like whatever the product becomes, I want to have a feeling of pulling all the toys out of the toy box, right? They like older characters, the kind of macro themes that, the series has been about all these years, Titans, Old Gods, Light and Dark. I wanted to feel like the anniversary was capturing, like this kind of mix of all of the core flavors and ultimately proofing out that there has been this storyline all the way through, that everything kind of converges into this crescendo. And in a very real way, how the War Within was shaping up, they're like, yeah, dude, like there's no way on earth, right? That that's going to divert the course of mighty rivers. There's no way to get that done on top of what we're already in production on. So that begat this idea of a larger saga. I'm like, okay, well, what if we can get there in X number of steps?
That's what I was thinking, Blom Blom. I was like, what does he have a War Within shirt on?
Ridiculous, but it might take a couple expansions to do. And somehow, folks, bought in on it. Like, whoa, that's that's wild. Let's go. And so Taryn Gregory and I, Taryn's our principal story developer. So we work together every day, and we talk a lot about like we want to involve all these epic characters, but like when they're in the scene, they eat all the oxygen, and they could just go off and solve for X. So it's this balance between including all these mega characters and then finding
slowly
clever ways to get
introducing
them,
them and giving them a good story of why he's back, why he's there, and introduce the villains to us a little bit better too. You know what I mean? I'm excited. I saw the last interview and it sounded promising. I'm kind of hyped for the story.
Way, so that the player has maximum agency and the newer characters we're introducing have space to breathe and live.
It sounds.
There's also one thing. Actually, I don't know. I wanted to say in World of Warcraft, it's more of we are the hero and we are the main and we kill the things and we're in the story. I feel like they should just focus on how FF does it, where they have that main group and they're kind of the main character. And then we're just there to tag along in their story. Because that's how Warcraft 3 was. How the story told, right? You just have a next scene, you play as Illidan, next scene you play as like Malfurion. And then you could build upon that, and maybe in the books too, the story makes a lot more sense. I wanted to focus more on the characters than us, I think.
Like, it is almost an advantage to come to something that had already been started. If you'd come to the end of Dragonflight and started from there, that's a little big. It's a bigger buy. It's like,
FF did that and didn't connect. Wait, what do you mean, man? It worked perfect for. I didn't play the new expansion, but I played to Endwalker, and the story from the beginning to Endwalker, it had the same characters, almost, and they were just going to different places with those same characters, right? Like Ishtola, Alphino, and Alisei. I think that was good. In World of Warcraft, it's more of a boom, one chapter of this story, and then ends. It's like new characters introduced every time, and we kind of barely know them. It's kind of like Elden Ring, where we almost have to like read other sources to know more about it, or read the items and whatnot. The gameplay doesn't really like show us the story. I think War Within, though, they're going for that direction. I'm hoping for them to do that too. They should add Q in WoW for new game mode, where you can play crab game. All right, next.
Where are we going now? We've been flying. Okay, what does that mean?
I wouldn't mind more
do?
stuff in Darkmoon Fair,
Instead,
like Golden Saucer too.
You were presented
if
with
that's what you're going
some
for.
beginnings, and then you got to decide where those beginnings took you.
And vector it a little bit. The trick to, after all these years, creative direction, which even today, I don't know that I could do a thesis on, right? Creative direction is as unique as the person doing it and the chemistry of the team that you're working with. But kind of finding that balance again of having strong ideas and kind of saying like, I want to go this way, right? But the team had already been, kind of constructing this thing. So it's a mix of maximizing kind of the things that they are most passionate about, the ideas that they're kind of dug in on, and finding a way to bend everything towards a singular purpose, but boosting their sense of ownership.
So when you got up on stage at BlizzCon, it was pretty magical for players. I can say that for myself and a lot of people that I know.
Dude, I was there sitting with Stoops, Saint One, and Guzu, and then Estran in the back. It was so hype when Messon came on. People were just screaming. I thought we were getting a War Chief's blessing at BlizzCon.
Saw this as
it was
a return to something, and I think we're coming off.
Is interview early 2K? No, it's this year. Today.
But you got up and did something that surprised everybody, which was we're not doing the normal. Here comes the next expansion. Here are the features. Here's the storyline in its basic way. We are going to do a trilogy of essentially games. You spoke a lot about bringing, tying up some loose ends, but also creating a saga that is 3 parts, at least, and setting up really the next 20 years of the game, perhaps. That's very different than what any of you have done up to this point. Mm-hmm. Did that present unique challenges to the way you wanted to create story, the way you wanted your characters to progress, these sorts of things?
Yeah, it created all sorts of complexities. you know, under the hood a little bit, it's interesting in how when I came back on the team, the development process and even the conceptualizing process, you know, like where does the expansion take place? What are the main themes? What's the focus?
I love seeing the behind the scene.
More democratized, right? And people were, you know, had kind of found their voice in the balance of all the special teams that comprise the World of Warcraft team. You know, they'd really built the vision of Dragonflight together. So as I came back in, woohoo, and you know, there were folks going like, oh wow, how is this going to change our dynamic? You know, in terms of, you know, being a creative director, like, will we still have a voice? Will we still, you know, have stakes in how this all shapes out? So, like I was saying earlier, kind of learning that again and learning that balance again and coming in as creative director and be like, no, you know, I'm not here to be, you know, hyper prescriptive with everything as I might have been as a younger dude, but like really listening for the team's instincts. Like what are they responding to? What do they want to build? What do the artists want to make? What are they imagining in terms of that pure vision? So on top of that, the complexity of, I mean, I don't think this gives up the ghost on anything. Like, we're building 3 of these at a time. This is, yeah, I'll say it. It's insane. It's insane, yeah. Right? On top of the team, you know, over a year ago, having committed to like an 8-week cadence. Yeah. So these folks we are moving so fast, you know, and so the difference here is, you know, guys like Taryn and I have to map out where we're going, like,
no, I'm having fun listening to it. I'm trying to imagine.
Which is its own really interesting kind of work, right? You know, checking in with everybody. Does this feel cool? Everybody hip? You know, I want to make sure that we're building things that, you know, not only, again, my instinct feels are cool and fun, but that the team is proud to build and that they feel they have a voice in and, you know, can express themselves.
Okay.
Where the story's going, what the ideas are. We're already mapping out, you know, whatever, you know, 13.1 and 13.2 and how they actually play out and connect, and it's wild. But in a way, you get to step back and see a far more cohesive vision and a far more refined idea over time. So, and without spilling any beans, it's like, you know, we're already talking about, you know, the next few, you know, post, you know, upwards of like 17. And it's just.
Where can I read the manga, chat? They should have a manga so we could, you know,
the conveyor belt going.
Know the story.
Like loud and clear,
if it's going well.
The fans want more content, you know, more regularly. So, in a way, just staying ahead of that curve and making sure that everything, again, is of purpose and telling this much longer story. It's been a
true, DJ. Do you know what's insane, DJ? When you say this, that this guy has done art for StarCraft 2, and StarCraft's story was fun for me growing up. That was cool, man. I was such a big StarCraft fan. And all the other games they've made, they were popping off. World of Warcraft just went for too long, and I think it gets hard when you want to add new cool stuff to every expansion. Like, it worked till Wrath, and then Kata, and then it started falling off, right? To be fair, though, I think every expansion had goods and bads. Goods and bads, it's just hard to get every expansion to hit. But they're really focusing up after the Shadowlands stuff. It's good to see that. It's good to see.
Blast. You know, the pure creative on Warcraft, you know, for the past year and a half has been, how would I put it, over such a long span of time. I want to say it's one of the
when did Metzen leave, chat?
Nuclear creative phases I've seen for Warcraft.
WoD?
But the pace
After
is
WoD?
wild, right? Like,
Legion?
the pace is wild. And it's like I ain't 30 anymore, so we joke around all the time, like, oh, you know, we need to start instituting, you know, company naps in the middle of the afternoon for the old folks. But it has been,
we're all becoming 30.
Pretty amazing.
That's a great way of thinking about it. Speaking of personal connections to characters and story, somebody close to you, who I think is a very wise human, once said, online somewhere, that Chris is Anduin in some ways, kind of worn out, beaten up by a straight period of like nonstop work, right? But also on the other end of it, he's a little bit back to being Thrall again. And those two characters represent these two.
Chris Messen's Thrall, not Anduin. I've never seen Thrall in him.
He's a little bit back to being Thrall.
That's
again.
him, bro.
And those two characters represent these two parts of who this person is. How much of these characters moving forward, or even in the past, have represented you where you were in your life. Like some people say, well, the early versions of these characters are they were so metal. Like even Tauren chieftains, they look like, you know, these
Yo,
metal.
bring that back. Thrall was a fucking bad. Dude, he better be a badass here. Dude, Thrall went on a weird cycle, by the way. He became like this Giga Chad war chief, bringing back the Horde, being the good Horde side. And then he became like a hippie, left on a vacation, came back super weak, cheated on Makara, has no more elemental power. What the fuck is happening, man? Thrall, what are you doing? I don't know, man. Maybe he's having a hard time with his family. He has a wife and a... Does he have a kid? I know he was living in Nagrand. Did Thrall have a kid, chat? See, this is effed up. I should know this, but I don't. That's how bad the story is delivered. He does not. Okay, he has a wife, though. In Nagrand. Dude, why doesn't he get a kid? He has a kid? He has 2 kids? Bro. Does Thrall have kids? Wait, he has kids? Durag? Who's Durag? Oh, that's his wife? Wait, official? Is this real, child? Is this made up? Is having slacking? When did this happen? Oh, shortly after his birth, Thrall's parent Durotan and Dakra are killed by assassins by Gul'dan, found by Blackstorm. I don't know, man. Is Thrall Durotan? No, I know that. But what's with Thrall's child? Wait, Thrall has a child? Have you not seen the movie? I know. He has 2? Bro, is it his kid or is it Garrosh's kid? Is that why he cheated on the Makara? Guys, I don't know.
Yeah, dudes and everything. And now they're
when were they introduced?
Aging, right? They're maturing. They're moving on in the world. Like you are, like everyone who's worked on this does. Like, that's time. Do you think that's a fair thing to say, that we'll see these characters
or
change
character?
and
Okay, I
evolve
haven't
in
done the
same way that
heritage.
maybe you haven't, and they're kind of your avatars.
Yeah, no, I know where you're going. So there's kind of an A and a B there. Like the B, which is easier, is certainly we want to push these characters forward. We want to show some aging. We are currently doing that. But yeah, we talk about that a lot. There are many new characters over the arc of the saga that we don't want to be just one-off. We want them to be, you know, pals and you know, working together to, you know, solve these big problems. But certainly the characters that have been around a while, we're trying to kind of find a way to like capture that age up, not necessarily age out, but like, okay, so in that cinematic at BlizzCon, you know, they went in and put like gray streaks in Thrall's hair. I'm like, oh.
It looked great.
It got me. It's like, whoa. And just Anduin, you know, staring you down. It's like, our little boys all grows up, you know, it's.
You feel for him. You're supposed to feel for him, right?
Which was the point. But just the idea that these characters are moving through their own continuum and progressing and moving through stuff, like, what a trip, you know, looking back from where we started.
Sure.
You know, to the point where these are, you know, fairly fully realized characters within this setting. And it's just incredibly satisfying that way to see that progression. And certainly us as storytellers, as people, you know, as we, you know, it's not necessarily... It is certainly getting older, but it's also just experience over time. You know, big life moments, becoming parents, you know, finding love, finding your career, all these big kind of life, you know, hurdles.
Bro, Chris
like,
Messon's
you know,
bones are thick, chat.
Folks all the time. Like,
I'm so jealous. My dad had this gene. He's fucking thick bone. My older brother got it too. But my second brother and I got my mom's gene, so I don't have thick bones, man. I'm so jealous, dude.
don't be afraid to pour yourself into this stuff.
I'll do a backflip after this. How about that?
God, will the people down the hall dig it? You know, will I be judged? Like, yes, probably. But the answer is you're an artist. Go get it, right? Find your truth. Because often when, you know, we're pulling from a place of like deeply personal experience, someone's going to feel that on the other end of the line. You know, as you're playing the game, it's like some of those themes that really matter. Whether you're a writer, quest designer, narrative folks, cinematics, you know, like the game design, you know, like everyone kind of pours themselves into their craft, and the more genuine that is, and I think sometimes the more risk you take, I think you get more genuinely affecting content. I think people feel that, they feel you in it one way or another. There are many themes embedded in the Worldsoul saga, evidenced by different characters, that are very pointedly things that I think today, or I'm struggling with today, for sure. But again, I think about it in terms of like, as the team's creative leader, that's not the job as much. I think the job is like trying to learn to call them out, you know, and challenge them to kind of breathe their own experience into it, as opposed to pouring my own in. So it's a balance.
I assume that's what, over time, you have a character. We'll stick with Thrall for a minute. He's, you know, probably the most well-known of the Chris Metz, and certainly voice him. So
Until they find somebody better.
Until they find somebody better. Maybe you'll age out of it. I don't know. We're getting there.
Nah, do it till forever.
But no, that you've breathed enough life into that character and given them enough direction over so much time that I have to think, in a lot of cases, they start to run on their own gas. And while I'm not asking you to tell me if there's any tragedy coming at all, we're not even suggesting it here.
I have a kill list.
Do you?
I've got like my top 12 characters, like they're all going.
Why is Khadgar at the top?
What the fuck? There's a kill list? Oh, I wish he didn't say that. I wish he didn't say that. Wait, is he talking about kill list on enemies, or is he just joking? Okay, he's joking? Okay. The reason is I actually like good sacrifices in a game that are meaningful. What's a perfect one, chat? What's a perfect one? Tyrion dying, that fucking sucked ass. Varian dying, that was heroic. I love it. That is powerful, and I remember that character as being a Giga Chad. Tyrion dying, fucking blowed. Waste of character. They could have done better with that. Way better. Sourfang. They tried to make him impactful, but it wasn't that cool. He didn't go out that cool. He did do something big though, right? Vol'jin's death sucked ass. If I was Horde, I would be embarrassed. He gets fucking stabbed by one Felguard, and he goes, "Oh, guys, we need to go home." And he fucking runs home and dies anyways. Should have just stayed and fought and died there like a true bloodthirsty troll man. Anyways, I like deaths that are well written. I don't want them to waste a character. I do want deaths though. Good sacrifices are very good. Yeah, I don't want to hear him talk about someone's gonna die though. I like to like see it happen out of nowhere, you know? And that's gonna get me. If I know it, it's gonna be like, damn, he's gonna die anyway. Okay, next.
I kid. I love Khadgar.
There's no kill list.
All right, good. But you know what I mean? You might find yourself going, well...
Thor will die? Fuck, you idiot, man! You fucking ruined it! Chat, Thrall's gonna die! Thrall's gonna die in Worldsoul Saga, man!
It might be time for
dude.
Character X to take a character dive.
We you know, so there's no...
Thrall's gonna die.
Necessarily.
He's not kidding, dude. I see the hand where he's like, oh shit, I said too much.
But we do talk about this stuff all the time. And the only, you know, when you start talking about knocking off main characters, it's not a small thing. And usually that...
Bro, if they kill off Thrall and make it so good that I cry, oh my... Dude, that would be so impactful.
Is in service to, in the general story you're developing, if you really need to punctuate, you know, dramatic stakes, the easiest thing to do is ask Lucas, blow up a planet, or, you know, knock off a main character.
Tyrion Fordling, for example.
And to fuck off, man. Do it better. Please don't do another Tyrion Forge ring. The light. Dude, what is that? Waste of character. Waste of character. And then we fucking throw the Ashbringer away next expansion. Hello? Come on, man. I think a better one would have been he got fucking wounded so deep, he's in a coma, like, and it's like, oh shit, somebody's got to get the Ashbringer. So while he's in a coma, we get the Ashbringer, we beat up the badass boss, and it's like, damn, we're gonna revisit Tyrion and give him the blade back, right? And then he's still alive, progress in the lair. Dude, he was a cool character. I don't think they needed to kill him off. Or at least kill him off in a heroic way. Not just to some mediocre raid boss.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I remember that.
I'm still gripping on that one.
Yeah, that was rough. No pressure.
That was actually him. The light! Ah! The light will protect us! Ah! Bro, that was...
I'm just saying, it was a rough moment.
No pressure.
so
So
dumb.
we do talk about it from time to time, but we try and frame it with the greatest gravity possible, and trying to be clear that this franchise has another 20 years in it. It's this big ongoing idea, and losing critical characters is costly. So it's we talk about it from time to time.
Okay.
I won't tell you we won't lose anybody over the arc of the saga. Those types of moments are all about establishing stakes and that emotional, engagement from the player ultimately. So,
Does it help populate the Worldsoul saga as a creative place to know that over the last few years, while you were gone for much of it, the team has made a real effort or a priority out of having allied races discovered in the world that players can not only unlock but then be and might prefer over the originals or whatever? Like, this additional diversity for choice seems like a really potent way to fill your world with more interesting characterization rather than just, well, it's orcs and humans and a few others.
yeah. I love it. Just old school D&D and all these options on player
I like it too.
expression, what kind of
I think a lot of options
what
good.
culture you want to be from. I love that kind of stuff. So opening that up, especially like Battle for Azeroth and the inclusion of all these new silhouettes and flavors or whatever, I thought was awesome actually. And even the ones I didn't think I would play, I wound up, I rolled a Volpera hunter, and then I consistently dress him like Robin Hood from the old Disney movie. So it's like,
wait, that actually looks kind of cool.
Actually,
I thought when he said Volpera, I thought he was going to be like, oh God. But then he actually plays one? That looks
really
kind of
dig
cool.
a lot of the flavors that have been added over time. Like it's in my opinion, the water's warm. Everybody in the pool, I think WoW can stretch and grow to, encapsulate all of these flavors. I think giving players more options, more visual options is awesome. At the end of the day, I think, erring on the side of, player choice, player agency is the right move, like why you're playing this game in the first place, right? When you imprint, especially when it's your character, when you imprint on a look or a vibe or, like a vision.
You can tell here. So you think that was like a PR move, like a little checklist? It's like, talk about for PRs. People fucking hate that one. Chat, what is the most hated race in World of Warcraft? What is the most hated? It was a PR move. You cross it off. Good job, man. Good job. Belf? No, Belf was the most popular. I actually saw like a post about it that Blood Elves were so goddamn popular when it came out. Panda, either Gnome or Volpera. It has to be Volpera. Mecha Gnome, Mecha Gnome, Mecha Gnome, Mecha Gnome, Mecha Gnome. Oh my, Mecha Gnome. Okay. Mecha Gnome for sure.
That you connect with. It's
Got
like,
it.
Go, get it.
So let's bring it full circle to what is imminent, which is the war within.
Sure.
Players have a lot of expectations. Some of it is based on just excitement because there is a 3-part saga coming. They're not used to that. There's a whole new structure to this. So what would you say to players who are pins and needles about this next expansion, the start of the big grand story?
As we were talking about earlier, we've never been in a situation where we've shaped the whole giddy up, all at once. So there's the adventure component of the War Within, and then there's the max level campaign, and then there's the subsequent patches, and it's all been designed to kind of play out over time. Narrative
Chad, do you
threads
think we're gonna be playing WoW forever?
and sinews, kind of linking everything together. It's
Are we effed in the head?
personally a little biased, but I think it's off the hook.
Are we
right?
effed in the
At
head?
the end of the day, I would want people to remember it is still only, however, part one.
I
of
never
of
imagined
much,
playing WoW this
a
long.
much larger narrative.
I've
and I
never
would want people to
imagined.
look at it that way. You know, it's meant to rise and, you know, crescendo with its own max level campaign.
Will I be expected to walk in Quest 1 and yank the sword from the planet?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I would say to that, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, the sword, the resolution of the sword that we started.
Holy dude, the cinematic sword looks beautiful. They should do this. Boom, boom. But don't leave it like Cataclysm, you know? You know how Cataclysm, that statue of that bald guy holding a helmet fell over and that guy was like on the floor? This is the bridge. Dude, that guy was there for so goddamn long. Anyways, this one, I was gonna say maybe they can like build, you know, boom, 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 structures, and there's like ladders or something, or little pullers go up. And then there's like people working on it, like, you know, like maybe the little dwarves and the goblins could savage off of it with like little saws or whatnot, like, you know what I mean, chat? Like take it off little by little, or fuck it, they just leave it there for history.
With at BlizzCon.
Listen very carefully.
Actually,
Okay.
that's a 13 thing. We're gonna build to that, and it's a doozy.
One does not simply yank a sword from Azeroth.
I would even say you are not prepared for that moment, and leave it at that. But it is a 13 issue. Ultimately, you know, things like Xalatath, we've been doing a lot of work to kind of build her up.
We're not
as a very
ready
different kind
for
of villain.
it.
She is not like a
No
Deathwing
way.
type, you know, villain where, you know, just he's flying and burning everything and like, oh crap, you know, we're gonna, you know, like clearly he's where the storyline ends. She's built in such a way that like we're gonna be confronted by her and face her multiple times over the arc of the saga. So it's not gonna be this, you know, one and done type like.
Chat,
Oh,
was there any raid bosses where we beat up and they become a good person? They're like, oh shoot, you were right. Or they're like, we're like fighting them. There's another boss that comes out and he has another plan and he's so strong. It's like, oh shit. It's just Sylvanas? I was just gonna say that. That's kind of like Sylvanas. But it's so... I don't know, man. Illidan will save our asses again alongside Saga. Dude, that would be crazy. Kel'Thas is a good on Shadowlands. Oh, you're right. He does a little bit of good. You're right. I feel like Kel'Thas got a little better shine than Uther. I feel like Uther didn't really get much. He just looked like a sad blue man the whole time. That's all I remember. Just a sad old blue man. Ruined another paladin. All the paladin stories suck in this game, by the way. They all suck. Tyrolean, I love that character. His story sucks ass. He's like, oh, for the light. Then his light power sucks ass. He's praising a Naru stone. Is so lame, man. Super lame. I feel like all the characters are really cool. Uther, Tyrolean, and Tyrion. They look cool, man. But the way they kill off these guys suck.
you know, she's the raid boss.
I want like Diablo 3 angels. You know what I mean? Those are like badass judgment, dude. I want that. I want to watch the Diablo scene now.
To, you know, kind of weave in and out of events over time. So that's something I would say. But definitely the sword thing sticks in my head. You know, like certain of these themes are built to play out over time. So I hope people are into that. I hope they're into, you know, a longer form engagement. Because in a way, you know, so many of our expectations kind of, you know, crystallize around like, well, wait a minute, I didn't get the full meal I was expecting in 11.0. It's not built to be that. It's built to be part one. So buckle up, you know, the ride will be, I hope, insane and insanely fulfilling. Going back to that promise of the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Like, I want
Dude,
this
maybe for 20th? I swear they're gonna do what I said, guys. Remember what I said? Worldsoul Saga, boom, 3 new expansions, holy shit. And the story's gonna build up. We're going inside the Earth core of the Azeroth, and then we're gonna do something crazy, beat up all the bosses, and then somehow, while we're pulling out the sword, and then it comes out, it's like, oh my god! boom, Azeroth fucking blows up, and then Chromie's like, yo, get in the fucking trunk right now. We all jump on, and we use that little time, and then we go back, starting all over. WoW 2 on Real Engine 7. And then we just fucking get WoW 2 Classic Plus starting from all over the scratch. From the beginning. Original. No add-ons. Good filters. Crazy boss mechanics. So much new content. That's what they're planning, chat. Who doesn't want a WoW 2 with a little bit of reset? Holy moly. Let me go take my meds, guys. All right. Let's finish the video, chat.
Got to feel like it is just the perfect crescendo of 20 years of storytelling, you know, as we said at BlizzCon.
Yeah, there is a sense that we are fulfilling something. The 20 years came and will end this November.
20 year, man.
I guess November's launch, right? Yeah, 20-year anniversary will be this November. Yeah. And there is a feeling, I can tell you from the player side, of really coming to something special. And I know that puts pressure on the team when players collectively have an idea that they think should happen, and then the team's like, well, we're kind of going a different way. But I don't know that I've felt this much positive feedback in a long time about just where things are headed. And nobody says that about a 20-year-old property usually. Usually we're like,
there's not a lot of precedent we have, right? Like that's the same contiguous project. There's plenty of game series run for 20 years, no question. But like, it is honestly a blessing and often sometimes a hindrance. Just trying to sift through
blessing
the
and a
sheer
curse
volume of all of these details. Poor Sean Copeland, right? Just trying to keep it all, make it all make sense. But it is also its principal strength. Particularly because it's an MMO and a video game, because you've lived these moments. You didn't just passively watch. You didn't just, read a book or watch a movie. You've lived these moments and they matter and there are stakes, so as complex as it is to try and push the world forward without breaking everything that came before, which is its own kind of challenge. It's a very noble challenge, right? It's a privilege to tread water in this complexity of this setting. After all of these years, it's amazing that it's still the same stakes. It's still the same world that you've always known.
Well, there's a future I see where you're, reclining in some sort of chair.
With the blanket over my knees,
blanket over your
by a
knees,
fire,
keeping you warm, and you're looking back and you're thinking,
telling kids to stay off my lawn.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all in their haptic suits playing whatever version of WoW they have, and looking back at Grandpa's accomplishments, and I think it looks like something to be pretty proud of already. Well, I, for one, could not be more excited about this next expansion. And the
how old is he,
entirety of the
like 50-something?
Saga, and I think you and your team should be proud, and I wish you guys nothing but luck in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
He's exactly 50.
so much, Scott.
He's exactly 50.
That was hard. We're never gonna get that.
So that was the OG. Holy.